We'll call this meeting of the Tangipahoa Parish School Board to order this Tuesday, June the 11th, 2024. Mr. Jenkins, if you would, please call the roll.
Ms. Richards?
Present.
Mr. Toller?
Here.
Ms. Abrams?
Here.
Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Anthony?
Here.
Mr. Westmoreland?
Present.
Ms. Dominguez?
Present.
Mr. Piazza?
Here.
Mr. Moore? I know he's here.
He is here.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. All right, if you would, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is to consider approval of the board minutes from May the 21st, 2024. Motion is made by Mr. Toller, seconded by Mr. Westmoreland. There's no questions, no public input. We'll call the question. Ask members to vote your devices.
Voting is open.
Yes, Miss Cindy.
Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, next item on the agenda is to recognize our Ponchatoula High School 2024 LHSSA Softball Division runner-up team, Mr. Vining.
Thank you, Mr. President and Board. Ms. Tilley and Mr. Duncan, would y'all join me, please?
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Vining, Coordinator of Athletics for Tangipahoa Parish School System. At this time, I have the honor of recognizing Ponchatoula Junior High's coach. Coach Harper, would you come forward, please? It's unfortunate that the young ladies were not able to be here tonight, and the coaches are. 22 of them are playing games tonight, summer league. Last week, of course, you know we had the storm. They were stranded on the interstate, unfortunately, and thank the good Lord, everything worked out okay. And Coach got a good meal at the depot in Independence, so that was a wonderful thing. I know he appreciated that. At this time, I'd like to present this to Ponchatoula High School softball coach, Coach Jeremy Harper, for being the 2024 state champion runner-up by the Tangipahoa Parish School Board. And it's time Coach Harper is going to have a few words. And one more thing before, I wish the ladies could have been here, because these young ladies could have been known as the Cardiac Kids towards the end of these young ladies several times. I know at least twice in the playoffs, 3 times in the playoffs. They were behind in the last inning. Is that right, Coach? And came back and won the game. So I wish we could have emphasized that to those young ladies, how they could have been named the Cardiac Kid. And I know Coach could have had 3 cardiac arrests during that time. So, but yeah, Coach, come on and say a few words.
We walked off 3 playoff teams in the last inning. We were down and we came back and won. And yes, when the season started, I had a beautiful brown beard. I had more hair, but we're honored to be representing tonight. I am. Our Lady Wave softball program was an incredible season for our players and our coaches. We finished with a 25-8 record. We are the first in the history of Ponchatoula softball back-to-back district champions. We were also the first ever Division I. We'd never made it that far at Ponchatoula softball, and we were the Division I state runner-up this year. These things are first for our softball program, Ponchatoula, and they are a testament to the hard work and the dedication of every player and staff member in our program. What is most impressive to me as their coach is that we maintained a GPA of 3.51 as a team. And to me, it shows that our players are truly students who take their academics seriously. As a head coach, I couldn't be more proud of the effort and the commitment that was shown by each member of our program. We faced challenges together. We celebrated victories as a family, and I hope that our players feel that they are better people and better players after their time in our program. We came up short of the championship. We don't have the big trophy. We have the kind of small trophy. But our journey was full of memories that I hope that our girls will last a lifetime for them. We learned the value of resilience and sportsmanship. We've grown stronger as individuals. I know I have as a coach. And they've talked the coaching staff into way more ice cream stops on the way home than they were supposed to. I want to express our gratitude to everyone who supported us along the way, our families, our coaches. I personally want to thank the entire school community who took their time to come to Lady Wave Field this season. I want to say a special thank you to each person who made the trip to Sulphur to cheer us on. Their support has been the driving force, and we appreciate them more than they know. I want to thank my wife personally for putting up with being a coach's wife for the past 25 years. I do not know how she does it. I wouldn't do it. And I want to thank the school board for recognizing our accomplishments. Team 2024 was proud to represent Lady Wave, and Team 2025 looks forward to continuing to make our Tangipahoa Parish community and future very, very proud. Thank you very, very much.
One more thing I'd like to announce, and he doesn't take the accolade though. He was named Coach of the Year for his district. Unfortunately, he should have been for the state, but unfortunately, he was the state too. I'm sorry. That's great. So he was recognized as State Coach of the Year as well for 5A. Thank you.
I know she was there on the sideline.
They want you in it.
Yes.
I'd rather you in it than Jeremy anyway. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cal. We appreciate it.
Jeremy, one quick thing before you leave, before you walk back, and I want to add this. We have we're blessed with a lot of good coaches in our school system, and y'all know that. But every once in a while, you get a coach that's more than a coach. It's a mentor, a father figure, a brother figure, a whatever. And I don't say a lot of positive things about the South End. Whoa. But I will say this. Jeremy Harper is one of our great coaches and a great mentor. I have coworkers and friends who have daughters that have been under his care and his coaching, and they can't say enough about him. So I applaud you for that. Your reach is further than you think.
Yes, indeed.
Our next item on the agenda is to recognize Jermaine Brown from Kentwood High Magnet School as the LHSAA Class 1A Outdoor Track Champion for the 200-meter dash. Mr. Bonner.
Go Rouge.
I'd say, Janice, you know that's without a track field too.
That's right.
This is the fourth thing.
It is a unique opportunity where we can recognize both ends at the same night. So that's the one for state champions. As you know, track, every school in the parish, 7 high schools in the parish have track teams. Out of all those that participated in track, this young man was the only state champion and for the parish. So what and I think this is his second year as well. Three times. And he's still got one more year. That's correct. Is that right? So, yes, Jermaine is the 1A state champion in the 200-meter dash. And also pretty close. Were you second in the 100? Second in the 100-meter dash. So he is very gifted. Now, I taught his mama, and I couldn't get his mama to run track for me. So I don't know, what she missed out on, but she's done a wonderful job with him. With Jermaine's parents and family, please stand up, please. Congratulations, Jermaine. We're proud of you.
And to remind you, that's a school with no track field.
Under the tank.
So the next item on our agenda was going to be a presentation from Dr. Joshua Starr on our proposed strategic plan for the upcoming next few years. That presentation has been posted on our website along with a Google document that offers an opportunity for folks to provide additional public input. That has been a process that's been ongoing for quite some time. It will remain ongoing. It will be on our agenda next week for the board to approve, and Dr. Starr will be here, I believe, in person to present and answer any questions that the board may have. He was here when this meeting was originally scheduled last week, but he wasn't able to come back when we had to reschedule it. So there's no action on that, but we would encourage folks in the public to go and review that and to continue to provide us with input before final adoption next week. Moving on, next item is to consider the Finance and Audit Committee report from our meeting on June 4th, 2024. Is there a motion to adopt the committee report?
I make a motion to adopt.
Motion is made by Mrs. Dominguez. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Richards. Is there any discussion? I have no public input on that item, so we'll call the question and ask members to vote your devices.
Voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
All right. Next item on our agenda is to consider approval of the Personnel Committee report from our meeting of June 4th, 2024. Is there a motion to adopt the report?
So move.
Motion is made by Mr. Toller. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Anthony. Is there any discussion? There's no public input. Hearing no discussion, we'll call the question and ask members to vote your devices.
Voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, next item on the agenda is to consider approval to declare various pieces of property surplus and to approve having those surplus items sent out for auction by bid. Mr. McNeely.
And we would ask that you also authorize Michael Coxon to sign any and all titles as part of this motion.
All right. Is there a motion to adopt the administration's recommendation?
I'll make a motion.
Motion is made by Mrs. Dominguez, seconded by Mr. Westmoreland. Any discussion or questions from the board? There being no public input, we'll call the question and ask members to vote your devices.
No, Ms. Dominguez seconded. Who made the motion?
Glenn.
Mr. Westmoreland.
Motion was made by Mrs. Dominguez, seconded by Mr. Westmoreland.
Gotcha. Voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, next item on the agenda is our final step in the superintendent's annual evaluation. As a reminder, the process for doing the superintendent's evaluation is outlined in our policy manual under policy CBF. The process begins with the board president initiating that process and notifying the superintendent that the process has begun. She then distributes whatever materials or things that she wishes for the board to consider as part of her evaluation. Additionally, evaluation instruments are distributed to individual members of the board for them to complete while reviewing that documentation that was presented. And then the instruments are provided to the board president. After receipt of those instruments, the board has a meeting together to review those scores. That meeting occurred with just the board members at our last regular board meeting. The final step is to offer a meeting with the board and the superintendent to go over those instruments and the individual board members' evaluations. That is the step that will take place tonight. After that meeting has occurred, board members will have an opportunity to change their scores if they so desire. If they do not wish to change their scores, or whatever the end result of that process is, that will be announced tonight after that meeting. So at the end of the night, we will publish the scores. I believe the superintendent has asked that final step occur in executive session.
Right.
So we will do that. But prior to doing that, Mr. Watkins has asked to provide public input on this agenda item. So we will recognize him at this time for its as an agenda item. You get 3 minutes, Mr. Watkins, to provide your public input. And there will be I believe we'll have a clock right up here, Mr. Watkins.
For the record, I would like to execute my full 3 minutes. In the rewarding of someone, promoting someone, bestowing someone with a raise, even extending someone's contract, it is vital that you must first evaluate that someone's progress and achievements. Now, whether they are directly or indirectly, let's take a quick look at Melissa Steely's achievements. Corruption, theft, Brenda has a baby, child molestation, racism, civil rights violation of Queen Sharon Walker, hiring of pedophile teachers and coaches, and making backdoor deals with 5 board members in her favor to actually vote in her favor tonight. The first time I stood before this panel, white supremacy shut me up. White supremacy is known for taking land in Louisiana and shutting us up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Watkins. Your time has expired. At this time, we will enter executive session for the final step of the superintendent's evaluation.
Channel 17, proudly serving the Florida parishes.
Us back into regular session, and as promised, at this time I will read into the record the scores for the superintendent's evaluation. By way of reference, the evaluation is done on a 4-point scale. A score of 4 is a finding that the superintendent was highly effective in that domain. A score of 3 is proficient. A 4 of 2 is emerging. And a score of 1 is ineffective or failing to fulfill the performance standards. Again, she is scored under 6 domains. The first domain is related to policy and governance. Her average score under that domain was a 3.32. The second domain is related to instructional leadership. The average score under that domain was a 3.23. The third domain was under planning and assessment. The average score under that domain was a 3.32. The fourth domain was under organizational management. The average score under that domain was a 2.97. The fifth domain was related to communication and community relations. The average score under that domain was a 3.43. The final domain, domain 6, was related to issues of professionalism. Her average score under that domain was a 3.63. The final average score, averaging all domains for all board members, was a 3.31 for this school year. All right, moving on, unless there's anything else on that one. Again, that evaluation is finalized at this time. The individual evaluation instruments and that summation sheet has been signed and will be made a part of the superintendent's personnel record according to policy. All right, our next item on the agenda is to consider an update of the instructional goals in the superintendent's contract and to align the term of the superintendent's contract with the school year. I'll recognize Mr. Piazza for a motion.
Yes, Mr. President, I motion to move that rather than extending or renewing the current contract with our superintendent, that the board president be authorized and directed to enter into the present contract that is presented, which updates the instructional and our goals for the superintendent and aligns with the terms of the contract for this school year.
All right. So we have a motion by Mr. Piazza, seconded by Mr. Anthony. Before the board considers the motion, just a few notes for the benefit of the public as it relates to this updated contract. First thing, just to note, and of course the contract will be made available, I believe, or in accordance with state law. The contract does not change the superintendent's compensation plan from her prior contract. It does not give her a raise or adjust her compensation plan in any way. The proposed updated contract changes the annual term of her contract to end in June rather than the current contract that ends her in the middle of a school year, specifically in December. This way, when the superintendent starts a school year, she's able to finish a school year. The old contract had various accountability provisions and goals that were aligned to an accountability system that the state no longer uses. It specifically was an accountability system that existed at the time that we entered into the original contract with her. This proposed update adjusts those accountability provisions and goals so that they align with the new accountability system. Finally, the updated contract updates the evaluation process outlined in the contract so that it corresponds with the current board policy related to superintendent evaluations. Again, the old contract had an evaluation process that was not in conjunction with the board's policy on how we are to evaluate the superintendent. So this revision fixes that. So that's essentially what this new updated contract does. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Piazza, seconded by Mr. Anthony. I do have some public input. We'll call Mr. Watkins. He has 3 minutes to provide public input on this agenda item.
If I understand you correctly, you're saying that you want to extend her
So,
for 6 more months?
Mr. Watkins, we're not going to have a dialogue, but you can certainly provide whatever input on what's being
I want to make
proposed.
sure that I'm clear.
So the current contract that we have with Ms. Stilley ends in December, in the middle of the school year.
Mhm.
This updated contract would move that termination date to June so that she's able to finish out the school year. Did you have any other public input that you would like to offer?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to start your clock, and I want to, so we can make sure we give you your entire 3 minutes.
What I heard, just being a fly on the wall in last night's meeting, and I do mean I was a fly on the wall, is that the community do not want her, period. Whether that is through the term of a contract or after. Our community do not want her, period. So to extend that would be just redundant and disrespectful to our community.
Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to offer?
Gotta be honest.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. I don't have any other public input on the motion. The question has been called for. Was it
I do have a question.
Ms. Abrams?
The evaluation that you spoke of, so the evaluation that we did just recently, we won't be doing that in
No.
March?
No, what we did in updating the contract was in that contract, if you'll read the updated one, says that her evaluation process will be in accordance with board policy. The old contract had a different process that did not exactly correspond. So we had a contract that said we're supposed to do it one way, but then we had a board policy that said we're supposed to do it another way. So this fixes that.
What we did just recently, was that that's board policy?
We've been following board policy. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Our contract will follow board policy.
That's what I was making sure of. That's what I understood.
Yes, good question. All right. Okay, there are no other questions from the board. This vote will be by roll call rather than on your devices. So the question has been called. Ms. Jenkins, if you would please call the roll. Board members, you will vote when your name is called. Vote orally into the microphone when your name is called.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes.
Mr. Westmoreland?
Yes.
Mr. Toller?
Yes.
Mr. Piazza?
Yes.
Ms. Dominguez?
Yes.
Mr. Anthony?
Yes.
Ms. Abrams?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right. Finally, under superintendent's reports and recommendations, The administration has asked that we refer policy JCAA related to due process for consideration by the policy committee. Is there a motion?
Motion
Motion is made by Mr. Westmoreland. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Piazza. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. There's no public input. We'll call the question. Ask members to vote your devices.
Voting is open. Oh, I closed it. It's open.
Trent, did you vote? Trent?
It didn't come through. I'm sorry. Yes? Okay. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
Finally, board member comments. We'll start with Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I want to commend our athletes and our coaches for their achievements and for the awards they received tonight. And that's it.
Mr. Westmoreland.
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Minguez.
Yes, I'd just like to again congratulate Coach Jeremy Harper on he's had wonderful seasons in the last few years. He's got a great coaching staff that we need to recognize as well. And also him being Coach of the Year for the state and the district. Not to mention the fact that we had a bunch of girls on those teams that won a lot of awards as far as, being on the first team and the second team of the state competition. So really appreciate him. Not just that, but as Tom said earlier, he's such a super role model, and we're really proud to have him with us. And not just that, he works tirelessly on campus many, many hours every day and all summer to keep his field and his program running. And I wish we had a lot more like him. I'm so grateful that we have him.
All right. Ms. Richards.
I'd just like to, with Ms. Rose, congratulate again Ponchatoula High's softball team. And then I'd like to say that for my family, Jermaine Brown, we are just so proud of you, and we're proud of Rue Nation. But one of the main things that I'm just so excited about and can't wait for it to get public is the 2-pay cycle that we considered tonight. I know that I've had several calls on that, and everybody was saying that that's what we need so that they wouldn't have to go and get second jobs, because that once a month pay period was just hurting us. So I'm proud that Tangipahoa Parish has adopted that. And then the athletics stipends, I'm proud of us, and thank you for doing that and working hard on that, Mr. Jeff. And that's about it.
Mr. Anthony.
Thank you. I also want to congratulate Coach Harper. I don't know if Coach Harper's noticed that we got through policy tonight, the fact that he may get some help for his field.
Yeah.
He's fought for that over and over again, and got to find it in the budget somewhere or small capital outlay, so I'm sure he'll be pleased to see that. Also, congrats to Mr. Brown from Kentwood. And I wanted to also say congrats to Dr. Keith Sanders, who will be taking over at Independence. Robin, you're going to enjoy Dr. Sanders. Every time I went to Ponchatoula High's campus, he was walking up and down the halls in the common areas. So I think y'all got a really good principal coming. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Ms. Abrams.
Yes, I did want to say congratulations to Dr. Sanders. He's going to be taking over at Independence High as our new principal there. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot of great things happen over at Independence with him at the helm. I think all of our coaches will be excited about this new policy that we're putting in place for them with their stipends and everything. I think they're going to be excited about that. It's going to help a lot with their field work and getting new coaches and those kind of things. And congratulations to Ponchatoula girls, and of course the Roo Nation that can get those track records without even a track. That's congratulations.
Mr. Piazza.
I just want to say, guys, I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but this board, this administration has made a lot of history this year. Tonight, above all, with our academics, with our athletics, with our coaching staffs, with our students across the parish, with the College and Career Center, this board and administration has been very busy in the last few years. So I want to congratulate our administration, all of our staff members that put in that hard work to get these things done. Mr. Jeff and his team, Mr. Jenko, Dr. Fussell, Ms. Stilley, and all the supervisors. Guys, it's hard work that goes in behind these policies and these changes. And thank y'all for what y'all do. Mr. Jeremy Harper, Coach Harper, he taught me when I was in high school, which I'm sure he probably doesn't want to claim me as one of his students, but to know him as a coach, as a teacher, as a friend, as a neighbor, he's an amazing individual, and I'm happy we got to honor him and his historical team that he had this year. We also had Coach Matt Tay, who retired from our school system. He was a wonderful athletic director with the little bunny ears over it. He helped a lot of coaches and people at our high school function for athletics. I just want to thank him for his service and all of our teachers that may be retired this year for their service that they gave us as a school system. Good luck, Miss Robin, with Dr. Sanders. He's a wonderful individual. Make sure you get him some tennis shoes, because every time I saw him, he was running, and he always had dress shoes. I told him, dude, I'm either going to get you some really good soles or some tennis shoes. So when he shows up on his first day, I want you to have some tennis shoes for him, preferably the one that Forrest Gump had, because he ran a lot. So, but thank you guys. Thank you, the members of this board. I know this job is tough. I know our community beats us up. I know they also praise us when we do good things. But thank y'all, and my prayers go out to each and every one of you, our staff and our administrators. Thank you.
One more thing, please. I'd just like to say, because I forgot about it, but I'd like to shout out for the idea of the Coffee Talk Tuesday, meet our principals. And that was just, if you haven't seen it, this week's highlight was our own Kentwood High School principal, Ms. Charisse Baptiste. And we just want to give a shout out to her. And we're looking forward to the next principals so that we can show our principals some love and appreciation for the hard work that they do.
Mr. Toller.
Most of you probably know July, I'll be gone for the entire month of July for a training exercise that will be very long and very hot. We will be outside in the field, in the woods for close to 3 weeks. The trip is 5 weeks total. This weekend, I had a chance to brief Colonel Scott Slavin, who flew in for our briefing on that trip. One of the things that we talked about to the leaders was, as we're planning this, we're taking basically 100 college kids with no cell phones for 5 weeks. With no air conditioning, no beds, no showers. And what he was trying to stress to us was that as leaders, one of the words he said was embrace the suck. But as leaders, we can either portray that miserable attitude and it will flow downhill, or we portray a positive attitude and it will catch on. Tonight, as we approved the 6-month contract for Melissa Stilley, I just say this, it shows a lot that our board is unison behind our superintendent. There's a lot of information that has been spread. There's information that was presented here at that podium last week or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was that was incorrect. And as public input, we don't fight that from over here because we don't get into a back and forth. But when statements are read and you read part of a statement, but it doesn't say the entire statement, it makes people get upset in the community because they think that what we're doing is keeping someone that is not effective. We go through these evaluations. We spend a lot of time on this. We work with our superintendent on a daily basis. And I, for one, know that her heart's in the right place and our school system's improving. I'm proud to work with you, Melissa, on that, and I'm glad tonight, compliment you tonight on the board supporting you in a 6-month contract extension. I look forward to see what the remainder of the year looks like for next year, and we'll go from there. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. There's no general public input. There's no other business to come before the board. Therefore, this meeting is adjourned.